Welcome to this episode of OG Off-Road. Today we'll be covering my favorite subject, tools. Hey everyone, and welcome to the OG Garage. If you're handy with your hands and you think you have some mechanical skills, which most of us do, then you can save a bunch of money doing your own installs, even if you don't have a complete set of tools or specialty tools. You can save a whole lot of money. Now think about this. You'll save anywhere between 25 to 40% in labor and installation costs just by doing your own installs. So for example, if you spend $10,000 in suspensions, bumpers, miscellaneous aftermarket parts, then you're going to save anywhere between $2,500 to $4,000. Now this savings alone is going to allow you to buy whatever tools you may be missing. So think about it. If you feel like you're up to it, give it a shot. So let's take a look at some of my tools. So let's start off with the fact that I had some tools left over from my younger days of racing and wrenching on jet skis. But like anything else, I made the big mistake of taking those tools out to the race sites. And as folks borrowed, the tools never seemed to make it back home. So I decided when I went full bore on this project, I decided to upgrade. And of course, upgrading makes the job a whole lot easier. So let's start off with my cordless tools that I have here. I start off with a cordless ratchet. And again, normally with a hand ratchet, after a while, when you're old like me, your wrist hurts, everything hurts. So the cordless ratchet just helps. Now, it's not really necessary, but I'm telling you, it makes the job a whole lot quicker and a whole lot easier. This is a Milwaukee, great tool, highly recommend it. And again, I got this one on sale. So from there, let's talk about the 3/8" impact. This is a big time tool because with those stubborn bolts and nuts that you're inevitably going to be changing out when you put in your new aftermarket parts, this really helps in terms of not having to hassle and fight those rusted on bolts if you have an older model vehicle, or those nuts and bolts that are, torqued down to 225 pounds. But this just really helps, and I think it has a maximum torque range of about 225, so that really came in handy, and it again speeds your job up immensely. And of course, you may have to make some holes here and there, and of course you need a drill. So here's the drill. I've had this one for a while actually, and it came on as a recommendation on this brand, which you'll notice is a rigid brand from a friend of mine who is actually in construction. And rigid, you can get at Home Depot. It's sold exclusively through Home Depot, and they maintain, for the most part, lifetime warranty. So you can't beat that. If you break it, just take it back and you'll be able to get a new one. The other helpful tool that I was able to find and use, believe it or not, is this little cutoff saw. I bought this 3-inch cutoff saw, which you're going to need when you're going to replacing like your bumpers or other parts that don't seem to fit properly in order for you to put it on. So there was a couple little tabs and tags that I had to take off the truck in order to put the aftermarket parts in there, and you will end up having to do some cutting. So this was a huge time saver, and it made the job really easy. It's maneuverable, so it's lightweight, and it does a fantastic job. I highly recommend this. And then here is an old DeWalt, and this is nothing more than just a screwdriver. Again, when you're old like me and your wrists hurt, again, not necessarily an item that's necessary, but hey, it helps. It helps when you get old. Of course, drills. You're going to need drills. Now, unless you're a professional that's drilling all the time, then go ahead and get a good set of drills. I tend to just go and get cheap drills, to be honest with you. and I just keep buying the cheap stuff wherever I find it on sale, because I'm really not doing this all the time. So to make your few holes that you're going to be making, wherever I find a sale on drills, I'll go buy them. When they don't work or they dull, I tend to just throw them out, or they break. The other thing you're going to need is, you're going to find that depending on the manufacturer, you're going to have some different parts in there. In particular, the button head nut configuration. So you may have Torx, you may have Phillips, you may have an Allen. It all depends. So you might do yourself a favor and get one of these little kits that has pretty much everything in there, from a Phillips to Torx to an Allen with extensions. You can pick them up rather cheap. That one came from Harbor Freight. Believe it or not, Harbor Freight, for those of you from the old school, Harbor Freight has come a long way in their quality. I've had that for quite a while now. Nothing is yet to break or get dull, or get soft. And some metals are soft. They haven't disformed at all or disfigured at all. So hey, everything works out great. So tools that are necessary in order to get the job done correctly and safely include some of these tools that I have here. Let's start off with torque wrenches. So the torque wrenches are necessary. This one I happen to have, which is a 3/8" drive that I had back when I was 80 pounds ago and I was racing jet skis. And this one, because I had to do a lot of own wrenching, I learned how to get all that done, and I bought this. This is a Snap-on. This one was really expensive, but it's lasted all these years, and of course Snap-on, it's lifetime warranty on this thing. But I do use it periodically with some of the stuff that I'm doing in the truck. But by and large, if you're going to be doing suspension systems in your truck, then you're really going to need a 1/2" drive. As you can see, the handle is much bigger. You're going to have to be using a lot more torque. I believe this goes up to 250 pounds torque, maybe 350. Most you're ever going to need is a little over 100 pounds of torque. And this really helps. So it's the long handle gives you that leverage that you need, and it's absolutely necessary if you're going to do the job correctly. The other thing that you may want to invest in, and these are $20 maybe, is a breaker bar for those stubborn bolts that just do not want to come off. This breaker bar will help because of the leverage. It'll help loosen that up. Of course, if you have an impact wrench, that helps out too. So those are your torque wrenches and your breaker bars. The next thing that I think you're really going to need, obviously, which most people already have, is a standard set of sockets. And so, I've had these for quite a while. I don't even remember. I think they're Craftsman. These are your 3/8" drive that I have here with an extension. You're always going to need also extensions for your sockets, because there's those little bolts that you can't get into, that you can't manipulate the handle because there's no space, where the extension allows you to get into that area and manipulate, so you'll be able to get the part out, or the nut out. The more prevalent, though, when you're working on mechanics, that I'm finding, obviously, is your 1/2" drive. 1/2" drive is, obviously bigger, more beefier, and you're able to get a lot more torque into these set. This set that I have here, I actually, since the other ones disappeared, those were all Snap-ons, I could cry. This I actually got at Harbor Freight. They're on sale. I picked them up. They're working. They're not bad. I can't complain. The metal tends to be okay. Hasn't really completely disfigured. Little soft, but that is just your standard length. What I needed to get after that was some extensions. As you can see, these are much taller, and they allow for that bolt that's longer, allows you to be able to maneuver that nut right into the bolt for those longer extensions that you may have. Also, I went with the hardened steel. I would suggest also getting a set of hardened steel sockets. That really helps, because they don't tend to disform when you're really having to work it with a lot of strength and muscle, because it's either on too tight it's rusted over, whatever the situation is, or if you really need to put some muscle into it to tighten it up. These tend to work a heck of a lot better. And then of course, your open-end wrenches. I have these in standard and in metric, and you need them. Just no ifs, ands, buts about it. You need them. Now this one has the ratcheting boxed end, and then there's the open end. So again, you can find all these tools. Do your research. You'll find incredible deals out there, specifically since the tool industry has expanded into your Lowe's, your Home Depots, Ace Hardwares. There's a competitive industry in these tools, and you're going to find sales all the time. I think just about everything here was on sale, and I'm able to pick it up. And it's enough for you to get the job done. Obviously, if you're a professional and you do this all the time, you probably are not watching this video, but if you are, you're going to go for your Snap-ons, your Matcos, and what have you. Those tools are by far superior in quality, but remember, there's a price tag to that. For what we do here, Weekend Warrior, these tools have sufficed me just fine. I can't complain about it. They do the job, and I'm more than happy with them. For your electrical needs, like wiring up your LED lights and your switches that connect to the battery and back to give it power, you're going to need several parts, not a lot. And it's not difficult, it's just really time consuming. But this is probably just as important as any other part that you're going to be doing, because this could lead to a fire, which could burn your vehicle to the ground. So you don't want to burn your rig down after you spent a bunch of money in it. So it's real important that you take the job serious and you do it the right way. There's a tendency sometimes with people that are just starting off that don't have the right connectors to just tape it up, and they think, it works for now. I highly recommend that you do not do that. I would say do the job the right way. The last thing you need, like I said, is to have some kind of fire while you're out there in the great unknown. So take the time, get the right stuff, and do the job the right way. So what is it that you're going to need? Well, to start off with, you're going to need some wire cutters. Simple wire cutters, or these wire crimpers that also has a cutter, but I tend to find that these crimpers that you get at the auto parts or the hardware store, these are the cheaper kind. The cutter doesn't work all that great. This is a much more efficient way to go. Those are a little more high-end, but this stuff, again, Home Depot, Ace Hardware, you can find this stuff everywhere. So with the wire cutters and the wire crimpers, the crimpers are important because there is a crimping tool here that allows you to get that wire and to crimp it to the connector, which is an important first step that you'll need. You'll see that you have the butt connector here. The wire will go into one end, and you want to crimp it. And after you're done crimping it, then of course you will later heat this up, either with a heat gun or a lighter. You can actually use a barbecue lighter that has the long extension so you don't burn your fingers. And it will literally shrink around the connection and form a watertight seal, which is really important. So I always go with the marine grade connectors. These are butt connectors, which I use probably way more than I do some of the circle ring connectors and what have you. The butt connectors seem to be the way to go, particularly when we're dealing with LED lights. So again, wire cutters, wire crimpers, marine grade butt connectors, a heat gun or a lighter, and then of course you'll need some electrical tape. Everybody knows what electrical tape is. There's different brands out there. I find that the 3M is probably the best that I've ever used. But you can pick up electrical tape everywhere. And then zip ties. Zip ties come in handy for everything. And look, I ordered on Amazon, I think I ordered like 1,000 of these things because I use them for everything, from stuff around the house or to hold a wire out of the way, to actually doing a job and making it a clean job in your vehicle. These come in extremely handy. They're nylon, they're heat resistant for the most part, so it works out great. The other thing that I do, and I would suggest doing, is getting some heat shrink tube. So what I will do is I will literally heat shrink the tube over the connection after I'm done, just to ensure myself that I know I'm going to get as much sealant in there as possible. These will literally, once you heat them up, they shrink around the wire to give you an added layer of insulation. I have red and I have black. And of course you need the marine grade wire. Now you can get any kind of automotive stranded wire out there. Again, I tend to go with marine grade because more times than not, you're going to find yourself dealing with some type of aquatic life out there when you're out four-wheeling. And then of course, the last thing that I do is, particularly when I'm running wire from the back bumper all the way up into the cab or to the battery, I always get this split loom. And split loom is just what it is. It's just a corrugated plastic tubing that's literally split right down the middle. The wires will sit inside, and this gives you an added protection layer from rubbing and what have you, so that you don't chafe your wire and then you eventually wear it thin, so then you have exposed wire, then you get a short, and then you find out that none of your stuff works. So this really helps out. Also too, when you're out four-wheeling, if a rock flies up, I mean, this will protect the wire. This will take the abuse before the wire actually does. So as you can see, I've got rolls and rolls of split loom because more times than not, you're looking for a 12-foot run of this stuff. So I Amazon, pretty decent price for what you can get. And again, all this is what I would concentrate on doing a thorough job. Don't rush it. Take your time. Do a thorough job. The last thing you want is to be dealing with a fire when you're out there. So make sure you do the right thing and get the right stuff. All this is really not that expensive. I got these butt connector collection with the different sizes here. I got those on Amazon. It was like 12 bucks or something like that. And then I have another collection here of the different style of connectors that also Amazon, I think that was $17. So there you have it. Relatively inexpensive stuff. But remember, stay safe. Do the job the right way. Now, if you're finding yourself real adventurous and you might want to think about getting a welder, go out. If you haven't taken up welding or you've never ventured into it, it can be difficult, but it's not really difficult. It's just technique. So what you may think about doing is actually taking a welding class at your local adult night school. They'll teach you all the basics that you really need in order to make a quality weld for what you're going to need in terms of building your rig. Now, I found out that I had to make a lot of custom brackets from repositioning my winch in my front bumper and making brackets to hold a control panel to actually, you know, the bracket itself holding the winch into the front bumper. Only because, you know, these bumpers come designed for a specific truck, but every truck is different. So I found that the way I had to make my brackets, it just seemed to work a lot better for me. And that required, unfortunately, some welding. Now, I started welding a long time ago. My dad was a welder and just picked up the trait from the family thing. So I've had welders for years. Not really the best of welders, but I know enough. My son actually took a welding class at the night school and is a more proficient welder. So when I ever need to get into that cosmetic, good-looking weld or high-quality weld, then I'll always call him over. But again, something as simple as taking a adult night school class in welding will suffice for you to get the job done. Now, welders can be expensive. This welder that I have here, again, plugging for Harbor Freight, but again, I did my research online, and believe it or not, this Vulcan MIG-Max 140 is a fabulous welder for the price. And again, it was on sale, and I think I saved like $100 on it, so it was something unbelievable. But you will find yourself having to construct certain brackets for certain parts of the stuff that you're getting in order to build your rig. So if you're feeling adventurous, and like I said, you have some extra cash lying around, again, you're going to be saving 25 to 40%. You may think about investing in a welder. I've actually gone where now I've made custom furniture for family and friends to the brackets that I need for all the different projects that I do to once I got into this. So again, if you're feeling adventurous, welding, don't be afraid of it. So we went over all the tools that I keep in my tool chest. I've got this old time Craftsman upper and lower chest that I've had for, oh my gosh, since I was my young 20s. And then recently I just bought this roller chest with the wood top so that I can really organize myself with all the additional tools that I have. But these tools stay here. Those tools don't go out in the open road with me. What I do take is this bag with me, and which I got on sale at Harbor Freight. I think I got like 25% off, I think we're 30% off. It was like $17, and I built my own tool set that I take with me. So, of course, inside my bag, I've got my electrical tape. I've got a different set of pliers, channel locks. Then I have different sizes in your star configuration to Allen wrench, to a different size of Allen wrench, and they're in these little handy little, and you've all seen them, these handy little handhelds. So this makes a handle, and you're able to actually work those out. And then I found these at Home Depot, and they were only $9. And this is a standard, and what it is your basic sockets. So this at least gets you into, and they're not big, of course, but for your like 1/4-inch size socket nuts where you need the socket, this will at least get you to be able to manipulate that with your hand. So I've got a metric set and I've got a standard set. And then of course the different screwdrivers. And mind you, all this stuff I want you to know, I got it all on sale. So, and these are throwdowns. These I can care less if someone takes it and steals it. Is what it is. It doesn't find its way back to its rightful owner. These are all on sale. They'll do the purpose, and if they go, they go. Set of needle nose pliers I keep in here because you never know when you might have to get into a tight area, and so these come in really handy. And then I always carry like a pair of cutters, and these will cut through wire. These will cut through, obviously, a rope, which I carry rope with me, a small rope. I think this is like 25 feet, and this helps when I'm having to hold things out of the way while I work on whatever I need to work on. And if I do need to manipulate it, then I'll manipulate it so that it stays on and keeps that part gone to get me back to safety. So the rope goes in there, the scissors go in there, and of course an adjustable wrench. That also, you'll be amazed at how many times you're going to need one of these types of items. And then of course your socket and your wrench. Now these are the deep sockets, and they're hardened steel. That's why they're black. They're hardened steel. And so this is 3/8. These are 3/8, and that comes in, fairly handy. I don't really carry a lot of the little sockets because it's just too much. If I can't use those, then I'll end up using the open-ended box wrenches here that I have here. These I also got on sale. These are throwdowns. They're cheapies. They're from Harbor Freight. I think these were like $9. So those go in there, and again, should they not find their way back home from the campsite, then it doesn't really matter to me, quite honestly. And then of course, like I mentioned earlier, cable ties. Cable ties. You'd be amazed at how useful these things are. And I carry, obviously, about 100, 200 of these things because friends and family will inevitably have an issue too, and you're going to hand those things out like crazy. And of course, duct tape. I always carry duct tape with everything. I learned this back when I was jet skiing. I used to race, and if we ever got in an accident out there, because when you're racing, you never know, and you punctured a hole in your jet ski, we would literally seal up with duct tape and we could keep on racing. So, you know, the 100-mile-an-hour tape, this stuff can be used for so much. It'll seal hoses. It'll do whatever. So this is extremely important. Always carry some kind of duct tape with you. And of course, a cheap hammer. Always take a hammer with you, because you never know when you might have to put some impact force onto something. So always take a hammer with you. So the hammer fits in here. And then different types of brackets. Now they're in a bag. I just keep them in a bag, keep them together. But these are just hose clamps. Hose clamps and a couple different brackets in there, because you never know when you're going to run into the possible need for them. So they just fit in there as well too. And then as we wrap up, I got double-sided tape. Double-sided tape in case you have something, whatever it may be, that comes loose, a box comes loose or something, and you need to adhere it, just temporary. That's all this is meant to be, is temporary. So here's some double-sided tape that will sit in there to help keep you organized while you're out there. I have a ton of box cutters here. So I put one in my bag because you never know when you may need a box cutter out there. So, and there's some extra blades on the inside. It fits neatly in here. It's lightweight. And then the last thing I have here is, again, another little set here of different configurations of Phillips head to a straight head to star to a little socket set as well too, with the handle that these attach to. Again, so if you ever run into a tight situation, that will work. And then finally, the last thing is I have a fire starter here. So this will create the spark, and at least you can help get you a fire going if you get stuck out there somewhere while you're waiting for help to arrive, or you just ran out of daylight. So this helps. It fits neatly into my little bag. And then lastly, a little foldable saw where I can at least cut down some wood to burn if I need to spend the night out there. All this stuff here you can either catch at Harbor Freight, Amazon. That's where all this stuff came from. I think I built the whole kit for roughly $60 or so. And this bag goes everywhere with me. When the truck rolls, this goes in it. You can see it's small, it zips up, and it's relatively lightweight. For the most part, and if you ever run into a situation, at least you have some basic set of tools to get you through there. So this is what I take out on the road with me. So that pretty much wraps it up for the tools. I've enjoyed this section here. Now, I know some of you have been paying attention to what's going on behind me, and it's a little cluttered. Again, it's OG Garage, that's why. But we'll get into how I have my rack set up here on another episode coming up, but you'll see that I put everything that takes out with me. I've actually got it on these Baker racks that are literally on wheels, and I will, before we go out, I will literally roll them out to the truck and I will load from there so that I don't forget anything. And anything that I have that goes out with us, for the most part, from cooking to safety to parts for whatever we may need, it's all in these bins and these containers. And again, I'll break that down in another episode coming up. So I hope you enjoyed what we did here today. It's really something that we're having fun with over here in OG Off-Road. You know, by watching the various YouTubes, you know, you kind of get an idea. And that reminds me, probably the biggest tool that you're going to probably need, believe it or not, is YouTube itself. When I got started on this project, like I said in the previous episode, nothing comes with instructions. So I relied heavily on all you YouTubers out there that are making videos. They are so helpful, I can't even begin to explain. You pretty much, anything I had a question with, you showed me how to do it by your YouTube. So I really do appreciate all you folks out there that have taken the time to create a YouTube channel. You helped me build my rig, and I am forever indebted to you, which is why we started this. We started this again to hopefully give those newcomers an idea of what you need, what to do, and kind of avoid the pitfalls that some of us have made in our project as we move forward. So again, I want to thank you all for watching another episode of OG Off-Road. And if you enjoyed what you saw today, please subscribe or hit that like button. It really, really does help. And that's it for us for episode number 2, Tools. Thanks for joining us here at OG Off-Road, and we'll see you next time.